So the first Lego movie was a big success, and rightfully so in my opinion, because it was a fun and entertaining film with a surprising amount of heart, especially in the movie's climax. So I was fully expecting to see a sequel be announced after the mountains of money it made. This film, its sequel I should say, wasn't high on my highly anticipated list, but I was looking forward to seeing it, and I had a couple of worries that it would sort of suffer the same kind of tropes that normal sequels usually go through, and thankfully it doesn't do that. I mean, the movie's fine, but it's not the best. Again, we're following Emmett in this movie, who's given a decent story arc, I think, and as equally as it's Emmett's story, it's also Wildstyle's story as well, because there's a couple of twists and turns throughout the movie that sort of switches the storylines up a bit, and I have found some of them to be a little predictable, but then others that I found it's kind of surprising as well. I thought there was some refreshing story beats and elements that were in the movie. But I think the newer characters that were introduced in this film were ones that stood out to me. Stephanie Beatrice does a good job with her character. I'm a big Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan, so I like seeing her pop up in different things. Tiffany Haddish really stood out to me in this film. I think she was my favorite new addition to the cast. Every scene that she was in, she stole, I think. But my only issue with her character is that wasn't enough of her. I really wanted to see her used more in this character because the character is really funny and she did a great job voicing this character. Also, like they did in the first one, there's a lot of pop culture references that turn out to be pretty funny in this film, and this elements that they were able to pull off really well in the first one get carried over in this one. There's sometimes sequels will try to just rehash things that they do in the first film, and it does sort of feel like that way a couple of times, but for the most part they're able to keep it fresh and keep me entertained and interested in the film. And like I said at the top of this video, I did enjoy myself in this film. It's just not as good as the first one, I don't think. You can definitely see them sort of gearing this movie towards children and not so much to the parents that bring their children to see this film. I mean, the parents aren't going to be bored in this film. There are certain themes and things that they can really enjoy in this film, but you can definitely see them sort of turning and shifting their focus to appealing towards a younger audience. And also, one of the bigger problems I have with this movie is that the side characters don't get to do a whole lot in the story. They're not as essential to the story as they were in the first one. I mean, characters like Unikitty and Metalbeard, they don't have a whole lot to do in this film. They're just kind of there, and I really wish that they would have more to do in this film because I really liked how they were utilized in the first film, and I really like moments like Unikitty's moment in the office and her just hulking out and things like that. I really enjoyed watching, but they don't get to have a whole lot to do in this film, and that was kind of a disappointment and a bummer. Also, to me, I feel like this movie doesn't have quite the amount of heart like the first one did. I mean, there is sort of a meaningful message that the movie's trying to teach children, but that message really didn't resonate with me. I mean, it might resonate with a couple other people, but it's like it didn't quite meet up to the standard that the first one did. And also, the movie is kind of like handicapped a bit by the fact that all this is happening within the imagination of a child. They revealed that at the end of the first one, and they had to sort of like weave their way around that to make the story a bit creative. They did a fairly good job with it, but I feel like the movie was kind of held back, and the narrative was kind of held back by the fact that they had to make sure that all this made sense in the way that all this is being thought up by kids and their imagination. But overall, this movie is enjoyable. I had a good time with it. Is it as good as the first one? No, but it's very rare that a sequel to a very popular movie ends up being as good or even better than the first one. So I say it's worth seeing. If you're a fan of the first one, I think you can find enjoyment out of this one. So now it's your turn. If you saw the Lego Movie 2, the second part, let me know what you thought of it in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to like and share it. And to stay updated on all the videos going up on this channel, give the subscribe button a click. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.